So there's been a leak of Assassin's Creed Red, allegedly, the main menu screen. And we're in kind of a tough spot talking about it because there's no real way for me to show it without potentially having this whole thing struck and stricken and copyright claimed and all that, because there are apparently takedowns happening for this. What I will say is your ability to Google things is not limited. So, I mean, if you Google it, you'll find it in like 20 seconds. So I can't stop you from Googling things, but I can still talk about it. Whether it's real or not is, I don't know if it's confirmed or whatever. It's a leak of the main menu screen, allegedly, of Assassin's Creed Codename Red, which is due to come out later this year. So as with all this, you got to take it with a hefty grain of salt and, you know, not be too gullible with this type of thing. What I will say is what you see in the image is like a picture of what seems to be just a main menu of two characters looking off opposite directions. It's on a monitor that's like super messy. And I think it's set up to look like it's a developer's computer screen that like, oh, they quickly snapped a picture of. There are some people saying it's fake. There are some people saying, no, it's totally real. It's a dev menu that's changed or something. And then they have like a big ass button that says play game and play demo. I mean, right off the bat, what I'll say is that this doesn't look like the dev menu of any demo I've ever played of a Ubisoft game. And they always tend to look the same. Right off the bat, it doesn't look right to me. Like it's just not, it doesn't look quite right. There's other weird things like the save game option doesn't have a space between save and game, which is odd. They also have performance profile in parentheses. It says Xbox Series X quality, but they have the B in Xbox capitalized. Like there's a lot of little weird things where it's like, I don't think this person was perhaps like an English speaker or somebody, like, because there's a lot of just little bitty things here and there that don't look quite right and look like it was probably thrown together by somebody trying to mimic something. It's not the worst attempted leak I've ever seen, but to me, it looks like a collection of probably AI generated art and then an attempt to make it look like a game dev screen. I don't think it looks real, especially because the logo that they're showing on screen looks kind of tossed together. It doesn't look super legit, but the biggest red flags for me are the like weird typos in the menus, and then also the fact that it doesn't look like any sort of dev screen that I've ever seen in a Ubisoft game. And I've been to plenty of preview events, and I've seen a lot of stuff that is a work in progress with them, and it's never looked like that. Now, granted, they've done a lot of like reworking, and they I'm sure are like actively working on the game, and the engine's been totally reworked. So it's possible maybe that it just looks very different because of that. But I would not put a lot of money on this being real. Personally, I would not. Then why the takedowns? I don't know who's doing the takedowns for one. Technically anybody can take down something claiming to be somebody else. I don't know. As for this, I mean, this says the post on r/gaming leaks and rumors was deleted by the user. Let's see. Select season tab is a red flag. Please don't be a live service BS, please. We already know that it's set to include multiple battle passes and stuff. So it's going to have a lot of live service stuff. Don't you worry about that. That's gonna be a thing. Yeah, I don't know. Something about this image gives me hope that the game will be very different from its predecessors. I don't know. To me, it doesn't look right. But maybe it's real. To me, it doesn't look right. Doesn't look right. Google says it's scheduled for next year. The rumors are that currently it is still targeting the end of this year. That's what Ubisoft has been going after. It might slip. Who knows? But we shall see. Multiple. Oh, you guys didn't hear about this? Do I got to recap it? Here. It was Insider Gaming did the reporting on it. Let me pull this up. AC Red. So this is what it is. This is a series of leaks. Tom Henderson, who pops into chat every once in a while, he's done a good amount of reporting on this. He's as far as I'm aware, not been wrong about anything he's like posted about. So he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. But what he reported on was that he's actually seen gameplay footage and footage of AC Infinity and Red and everything. And so he's checked it out. And what he reported was that the main focus of Infinity is a live service offering, which is all told via the modern day story. To start, Infinity will launch on the same day as Red and will contain several features that you would expect from a live service. The exchange will be the item shop, offering players the opportunity to purchase daily and weekly in-game cosmetics for Red's two protagonists, Naoi and Yasuke. In addition to the exchange, Infinity also has synchronization, a synchronization feature that allows the player to access projects for each protagonist. To explain them in their simplest form, projects are mini battle passes with a narrative behind them, offering players the ability to earn cosmetic rewards. Projects will be added throughout Infinity constantly, focusing mainly on DLC and new game releases, or even as a means of sustaining player interest during a lack of new content. Okay, so what that means, most likely, is like if you're playing AC Infinity, or if you're playing AC Red, there will be something where it's like, oh, you need to go and complete 10 of these missions. And once you do that, you'll unlock a new type of outfit, but the missions drop 2 a day. So you have to play for 5 days in a row or something like that. That's my understanding of what they're doing, where it's like a narrative based one, where it's a series of activities meant to keep you engaged. And that's how they pull it off. I don't love it. I don't even like it. I understand they're trying to find ways to make these games more profitable because they are freakishly expensive to produce. But this is not something that gets me excited. Let's just put it that way. This is like the opposite of that. And that's where I've been most frustrated with AC Infinity, as we've heard more and more reporting about it, is that there's been no discussion of how this makes the game better for the player. It's always and only a discussion of how this boosts monetizability, how this boosts revenue, how this boosts player engagement, which keeps them tied in better to other opportunities to charge for more things. Like, there is no description of AC Infinity in any regard where it comes off as this makes the player's experience better by X, Y, and Z. It's only ever this keeps them engaged by offering them these rewards to do this and to complete these tedious, repetitive activities and do that. And that means that they'll be more engaged so that they spend more money on cosmetics and stuff. And it just starts to kind of drives me a bit crazy. This whole thing is just worrisome to me. It seems like AC Infinity is the platform. It is launching alongside AC Red, and the entire thing is just built on finding new ways to monetize players. I understand why they're doing it. I understand they probably need to, considering how expensive these games are to produce, but I still don't like it. Like, just because it makes sense doesn't mean I have to like it. You know, like that's basically how the cookie crumbles on this one. We'll see. It might not be that aggressive. It might also be way more aggressive than we could possibly imagine. So, you know, it can go both ways. We don't know right now. Based on this description, I don't really love it. Even giving them the benefit of the doubt, for whatever reason you might want to do that, it still sounds like it's a battle pass, basically, in a single player game. And that's not necessarily or like a new concept, because they've sort of done that with games in the past, where it's like, oh, complete these daily activities and you'll unlock this cool weapon or whatever. I never have connected with those things. I don't find that interesting, but I don't think this is new. But it could also be a totally new version of that that's way more aggressive and way more egregious. It's going to be very interesting. You better believe if I ever find or get access to this game, if I get a preview event or if I get a chance to talk to devs, you better believe I'm going to be asking questions. So just you wait. Other projects include Obsidian, Black Flag Remake, setting based in Nebula, settings based in India, Aztec Empire, Mediterranean, Raid, a free-to-play 4-player co-op game that's PvE, Echoes, another multiplayer game, and another AC remake, which are all scheduled to release by the end of the decade. They have a lot of stuff coming in. It's all going to be launching on AC Infinity, and it's all going to be probably built around having some of these like battle passes and stuff. What's really interesting about the last decade for Ubisoft is that they've tried a bunch of different things, but at the end of the day, the only games that really make them a lot of money are Assassin's Creed games. It's just, they are the one thing that still keep them going. But like, look at this. We did that little calculation at the beginning of the stream covering how expensive these games are to produce. So Ubisoft Montreal, these are the guys that are putting together, like, they work on a ton of stuff, to be clear. They're a huge, huge studio, but they work on Assassin's Creed. They work on Watch Dogs. They work on everything, okay? But Assassin's Creed as a franchise has thousands of developers working on it at any given time. It's not super clear how many people are working on specific games. Like maybe somebody's done reporting on it. How many people worked on AC Valhalla? Yeah, 15 different studios worked on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah, in 2013, there were between 400 and 500 people working on an Assassin's Creed game. In the modern day, it's like thousands. It's like 1,500 to 2,000 on any given project. And they kind of cycle in and we'll be working on different things, but like that quick little math, the napkin math that we were doing, if you take that and the average salary, because this is in Montreal, it's very expensive. If you say cost of healthcare, cost of taxes, everything ends up being about 100,000 an employee. And of course, this is globally. This is a bunch of different studios, so the numbers are messy. This is just ballparks. But if you say that, like, let's say 1750, and they're working on a project for like shorter because it's a quicker turnaround time, but still like 4 years, you start to understand how these Assassin's Creed projects start to get very, very expensive. Like stupid expensive. This is why like a lot of industry analysts have said that for Ubisoft to have the games on the scale that they do, at the pace they do, with as many developers as they have, they don't make enough money, which is why Ubisoft has really struggled financially over the last 5 to 6 years, because they have to sell so many copies and so much DLC and stuff to make this make sense that it just doesn't really line up. It doesn't make sense. And that's why they're starting to do the multiple editions. They start to do the DLC. They start to do all of that stuff because there's just no other way to do it. There's no other way to break even. But again, this is just what happens when the numbers don't make sense. You got to start finding ways to get more cash from gamers. And that's where all these like mini battle passes come in. And that's where AC Infinity comes in, where you turn a single player game into a live service, because they cost so much money to make on the scale that gamers want. There's just, unless they were making $150 a copy, it just doesn't make sense. The numbers don't work. He took my thing.